Yeah, good morning, one and all. In this today's video lesson, we are going to discuss about basic introduction to the amplifiers. Upon the completion of the course, that is this chapter, the student will be able to learn how to measure different parameters of a transistor amplifier using small signal model. And also in this, we are going to discuss about the H parameter model for a small signal model. Okay, the previous subject, the previous semester subject, we discussed about semiconductor devices, that is transistor. Okay, we have discussed about transistor, the different types, that is configurations with respect to common, with respect to one terminal as common, that is common base, common emitter, common collector. We discussed different configurations based on which terminal is taken as common, that is common base, common emitter, common collector. In that, we have discussed about basic parameters like input resistance, output resistance, voltage gain, current gain. Okay, as we discussed, by using which we'll come to know that which transistor configuration can be used, which configuration has more advantages than others. We also discussed. Okay, from the previous discussions, let us come to know that the common emitter configuration has more advantages than other two, that is common base and common collector. Therefore, this common configuration is used as an amplifier. Okay, let us see. Again, by measuring or by calculating different parameters, that is input impedance, input resistance, output resistance, voltage gain, current gain, power gain, based on which, of course, these are calculated, these values are calculated in small signal model, that is in AC analysis. Okay, by calculating all these values, then based on these values for different configurations, which one is better, that will come to know. Okay, in this unit, we are going to discuss about a small signal amplifier circuit by using H parameter model. Okay, so before discussing hybrid model, again let us discuss the working of common emitter amplifier circuit. How the common emitter amplifier circuit will work. Let us see. In this slide, working of basic amplifier circuit using BJT in CE mode. Okay, this circuit shows the common emitter amplifier configuration. Okay, in this circuit, this is the VS input signal. This is input signal, sinusoidal signal. Okay, by applying this VS, then IB current flows. Okay, like this. This is a sinusoidal signal which is generated by applying Vs at the source, voltage signal at source. This is Vs. IB is flowing through base, which is the input terminal in common emitter configuration. Okay, this is transistor, which in which this is base terminal, this is emitter terminal. This is collector terminal. Okay. Mm, since it is called since the output is measured at the collector terminal across load resistor or collector resistor RC. Okay, we are measuring output across collector and ground. Since the output is taken at collector and the emitter is connected to the ground, therefore it is called as common emitter configuration. Okay, here we have two DC voltages. One is VBB, which is connected at the input side, that is base and emitter terminal, in between base and emitter terminal, and VCC is the voltage bias in the DC voltage which is connected between collector and emitter. Okay, this is in output, this is in input. So what is the need of VBB and VCC? These are DC voltages to keep the transistor in active region. Here, what is active region? As we have discussed in common base, common emitter and common collector configuration, output characteristics. In that output characteristics curves, the output characteristics are measured between output voltage and output current. Let us example common emitter configuration. The output voltage is VCE. Here the output voltage is VCE. Output current is IC. If the characteristics drawn between VCE versus IC, then that is called output characteristics. Okay. The output characteristics shows the characteristics between output voltage versus output current when input is constant. Okay. Here the output characteristics now divided into three categories where the characteristics which are near to horizontal line, that is VCE line, those characteristics are called cutoff region characteristics. Okay, the characteristics which are near to vertical line, that is IC, those characteristics are called saturation characteristics, and the characteristics where which are flat, those are called active region characteristics. Okay, so these characteristics are divided into three categories: saturation region, active region, and cutoff region. So these three can be defined with respect to these two: input junction of transistor and output junction of transistor. When input junction and output junction, that is, input junction is nothing but voltage junction, emitter junction, output junction is called collector junction. Okay, the collector and base junction is called output junction, emitter and base junction is called input junction. When input junction and output junction both are in reverse bias, both are in reverse bias, is called cutoff region. Okay, next, if input junction it is emitter junction, if input junction that is emitter junction is in forward bias and output junction that is collector junction is in reverse bias, if input junction is in forward bias, output junction is in reverse bias, then that characteristics are called active region characteristics, which are flat. Therefore, most widely used characteristics are the transistor is operated in active region only most of the times. Next, another one, saturation region. In saturation region, both the junctions, that is emitter junction and collector junction, or in reverse, sorry, forward bias. Okay, now we can conclude. In cutoff region, both the junctions, that is emitter junction and collector junction, are in reverse bias. Whereas in active region, input junction, that is emitter junction, is in forward bias, output junction, that is collector junction, is in reverse bias. Then these characteristic curves are called active region, or the transistor is said to be in active region. And third one, cutoff region. If both the junctions, that is emitter junction and collector junction, if both the junctions are in reverse bias, then the transistor is said to be, sorry, third one, saturation region. If both the junctions, that is emitter junction and collector junction, are in forward bias, then that is called saturation region. If both the junctions are forward bias, then saturation region. If both the junctions are in reverse bias, then that is called cutoff region. And if input junction is in forward bias and output junction is in reverse bias, then that is called active region. So these are the three regions. So generally, when the transistor is used as an amplifier, generally the transistor is operated in active region only. Means the input junction, that is emitter junction, should be always in forward bias, whereas output junction, that is collector junction, should be always in reverse bias. So in order to operate the transistor in active region, externally we should apply some DC voltage. These DC voltages are provided by VBB and VCC. This VBB and VCC is applied to the to this circuit in order to operate the transistor in active region. Means VBB provides the forward bias voltage to the transistor of input junction. VCC provides the reverse bias to the transistor to keep the collector junction in reverse bias. So like this, these two are called biasing voltages. Next, Vs is the AC voltage. Now our aim is to study this transistor amplifier circuit for small signals. That is, when AC signal is applied, what will be the output? How will be the output across load resistor, that is RC. Okay, this is our aim. So by applying this as input Vs, IB current flows through the base. Since the IB is in forward bias, therefore it allows the flow of current to the collector. Okay, since the collector is flows some amount of current due to input signal, that current is called IC. That IC current flows through the collector terminal, which can be measured across RC. So the amount of current flows through RC is IC. So IC into RC gives the output voltage VO. So that output voltage can be measured, and which is drawn like this. So this is some increased amplitude. How? Because of this transistor, the transistor is uh, working as an amplifier. Therefore, it gives the increased amplitude version of the input signal. The output is increased version of the input signal. So by the definition of amplifier, as we know, the amplifier will increase the input signal amplitude, or the amplifier which amplifies the input signal. So this output signal is, sorry, this output signal indicates the amplified version of the input signal. Here only this amount of amplitude is here, whereas the amplitude is increased. Therefore, we can say the output signal is amplified version of the input signal. Let us see the working. This figure shows, the previous slide shows the common emitter NPN amplifier circuit. as we have two types of transistors, NPN and PNP. So this, the previous slide, the transistor is used as an NPN transistor. Note that a battery VBB is connected in the input circuit in addition to the signal voltage, where the signal voltage is an AC signal. This DC voltage is known as bias voltage, and its magnitude is such that it always keeps the emitter base junction forward bias regardless of the polarity of the input signal source. Just now we discussed. So what is the function of the DC voltage at the input side? To keep the emitter base junction, that is input junction, should be in forward bias irrespective of the voltage signal Vs. Okay. If DC bias voltage is not provided, then during negative half cycle of the signal, the emitter base junction will be in reverse biased. Okay. If that VBB is not provided, what will happen? The junction, emitter junction will undergo reverse bias when the source voltage is uh, with negative half cycle. Okay, the source signal is a sinusoidal signal. It consists of positive pulses and negative pulses. The combination of positive and negative pulse is total cycle. So, during the negative half cycle, the emitter junction may undergo in reverse bias. Therefore, it should not happen in order to use the amplifier as the transistor as an amplifier. So, if the transistor is used in amplifier circuit, it always be in on position only. So for that, we should apply a DC voltage called VBB. So the VBB provides always the forward bias at the input junction. This will upset the transistor action. If it undergoes the reverse bias during the negative half cycle of the input signal, then if the VBB was not there, then the transistor will undergo reverse bias. Therefore, it will not give any output signal during the negative half cycle. So, this will upset our amplifier circuit. Therefore, the input junction should be, in order to keep the input junction should be always in forward bias, we have to provide a DC voltage that is given as VBB. So, in operation case 1, when no signal is applied, means Vs is equal to 0. The input circuit is in forward biased by the battery VBB, as we know. Therefore, a DC collector current capital I capital C flows flows in the collector circuit. This is called zero signal collector current. Okay, what is mean by zero signal collector current? Without giving any input signal, means without applying voltage source at the input side, some amount of current flows due to DC voltage applied in the circuit. That DC collector current without applying any input signal is called zero signal collector current, which is represented by capital I capital C. Capital I suffix capital C. This is zero signal collector current. The purpose of zero signal collector current is to ensure that the emitter base junction is forward bias at all time. When the signal voltage is applied at the input side, the forward bias on the emitter base junction increases or decreases depending upon whether the signal is positive or negative. Since the emitter junction is already in forward bias, so irrespective of input signal, that is forward or reverse, if it is forward, then the input signal, the output may be increased. If the input signal is negative half, then the output current may be decreased. So this will added addition to the zero signal collector current. Next case 2. During the positive half cycle of the signal, the forward bias on emitter base junction is increased, causing total collector current small I capital C to increase. The total collector current IC due to positive half cycle is given as small I capital C is equal to capital I capital C plus small I small c. So capital I capital C just now we discussed, that is zero signal collector current. Now small I small c AC collector current, okay, due to the positive half cycle at the input side. Now the total collector current at collector terminal is given as zero signal collector current plus AC signal due to AC signal applied at the input side. So these two will be added. Therefore, the output signal will be increases. Case 3. During negative half cycle of the signal. During the negative half cycle of the input signal, the forward bias on emitter base junction is decreased. What will happen? During the negative half cycle at the input side, the forward bias will be increases, causing total collector current IC is to decrease. Obviously, it will decrease. The total collector current small I capital C due to negative half cycle is given as small I capital C is equal to capital I capital C minus small I small c. Therefore, the net current at collector junction will be decreases due to negative half cycle. Okay, these are the two cases. Of course, three cases. First one is without applying any input signal, we can measure the DC collector current, that is called zero signal collector current. Next, by applying input signal with positive half cycle, the net current at collector will be increases. Means already zero signal current collector current is there, plus due to positive half cycle some amount of signal flows through the collector, that will be added to the DC signal current. DC, it is zero signal collector current. So this zero signal collector current plus due to positive half cycle will be increased. Net will be increased. Next, in the third case, during negative half cycle at the input side, the net current at collector terminal will be decreased. Why? Because of this negative half cycle at the input side. Therefore, the forward bias may somewhat decreases at the emitter junction. Therefore, some current will be less at the collector due to negative half cycle. Therefore, that will be minus in the zero signal collector current. Therefore, this subtraction may decrease net current at the collector junction during the negative half cycle. These are the two conditions. Three conditions or three cases gives the operation how the signal will be measured across load resistance in the common emitter configuration. Okay, this is the basic working principle of the common emitter amplifier circuit, CE amplifier circuit for small signals, that is AC signal applying. The useful output is the voltage drop across collector load, that is RC, due to the AC component IC. In this way, the transistor works as an amplifier in common emitter mode. Sorry. Okay. Already we discussed this characteristics of common emitter amplifier in the previous subject, the previous semester, that is in semiconductor devices. These characteristics of common emitter amplifier is calculated and also compared with other configuration amplifier, that is common base amplifier common collector amplifier. So from which we conclude that common emitter amplifier is having good characteristics than other two, that is common base and common emitter. So some of the characteristics, in main important characteristics which can be discussed here, the input impedance of the common emitter amplifier is moderately low, that is 1 kilo ohm to 2 kilo ohms approximately, from 0 to 2 kilo ohms. Okay, generally input impedance is 0 uh, when it is low, but here common emitter amplifier input impedance may be moderately high or moderately low, that is around 1 kilo ohm, generally 1 kilo ohm to 2 kilo ohms. This is good. The output impedance is moderately high, up to 5 kilo ohms, 50 kilo ohms. This is somewhat high. The current gain is high compared to other two. Voltage gain is very high. Power gain is also very high. So generally the power gain is defined as the product of voltage gain and current gain. So here both are high, therefore power gain will also be high. The phase difference between input and output is 180 degrees out of phase. When common emitter configuration is used, the output signal is out of phase with the input signal. That is 180 degrees phase difference must be there in the input and output. 180 degrees phase shift means when input signal is forward positive half cycle applied, then the output signal is measured in reverse direction, that is negative half cycle. This is the phase difference between input and output is 180 degrees. So due to the above characteristics of common emitter amplifier is widely used. Okay. So these are the basic characteristics for any amplifier. Should be like this. If an amplifier is approximately similar to these characteristics, then it can be used in the amplifier circuit. Now let us define the terms AV voltage gain, AI current gain, ZI it is input impedance, and ZO output impedance of an amplifier. Okay, we have to measure these four basic characteristics for a given amplifier. If these four are similar to common emitter amplifier, then that circuit can be used in amplifier circuit. Okay, generally the voltage gain and current gain must be high. Okay, if these two are high, then the gain is the ratio of output to the input. Therefore, if the gain is high, the output signal will be increased. Okay, that may be current gain or voltage gain. If these two are high, that is voltage and current gains, then the output signal will be high because the output signal is equal to multiplication of input signal with the gain, because gain is equal to the ratio of output by input. Therefore, the output is equal to gain into input signal. If the gain is high, it, it will be multiplied with input signal. Therefore, the output signal also will be high. Okay. Let us define the first term, that is voltage gain or voltage amplification factor. Okay. For the transistor used as an amplifier, it is defined as the ratio of voltage output voltage to the input voltage. Okay. Voltage gain is the ratio of output voltage to the input voltage. Here, the output voltage is represented with V2, input voltage is represented with V1. Okay, this is voltage gain A, V. V stands for voltage, A stands for gain. Voltage gain. Voltage gain is defined as the ratio of output voltage to the input voltage. Okay, output voltage is represented with 2, input is represented with 1. Therefore, output voltage is equal to output current into output resistance or impedance. Whereas input voltage is equal to I1 R1 or ZI, where ZI is the input impedance. Okay, so output current into output resistance divided by input current into input resistance. Okay, from which so output, the ratio of output current to the output, sorry, input current, ratio of output current to the input current is defined as current gain. So current gain into ZL by ZI. This is the voltage gain definition. Current gain, just now we discussed. Current gain or current amplification factor AI. The current gain is defined as the ratio of load current IL to the input current I1, or the ratio of output current to the input current is nothing but current gain. Here the current, output current is measured at the load. Therefore, the load current, the ratio of load current to the input current is given as current gain. AI is equal to IL by I1, where IL is the load current. This is the output current. I1 is the input current. So the ratio of these two, IL by I1, gives the current gain for the given circuit, where IL is in reverse bias to the input signal. Sorry, IL is reverse in direction with respect to output current, that is I2. Therefore, minus I2 by I1. The ratio of minus I2 by I1 gives the current gain. Now, this I2 by I1 is the AI, where minus sign indicates that 180 degrees phase shift between input and output, like this. Generally, the gain should be always positive only, not negative value. The gain should be the gain should measure in positive, uh, the positive gain. The quantity must be positive. So here minus sign indicates that 180 degrees phase shift between output signal and input signal. Okay, is it clear now? Now the third term, input impedance ZI. It is defined as the ratio of input voltage to the input current, and this is measured at the input side of the given transistor. So input resistance, how it will be measured? That will be looking at the circuit through the input terminals. For example, remove the voltage source which is applied at the input side and look into the circuit. What are the resistances are there in parallel with the voltage source? That gives the input resistance, or it is defined, the input impedance is defined as the ratio of input voltage, what is the amount of input signal is applied, for which input voltage to the input current. Generally, the voltage by current gives the resistance or impedance. but here it is given as the ratio of input voltage to the input current. Okay. Sometimes the voltage and currents may not be measured. In that case, we can see or we can look at the circuit through the input terminals. What are the resistances are there? The parallel combination of all the resistances gives the input resistance or input impedance. Okay. What is the difference between resistance and impedance? Both are same, of course same, but the resistance is measured or the resistance quantity can be taken when we deal with DC signals. Since the resistance is a DC component, when we want to discuss or we want to calculate the resistance and the applied signal must be a DC. The applied voltage or current may be DC. If voltage and DC are the voltage and current are DC, then the measured resistance is resistance only. Now, the impedance is the term which is synonym to the resistance, but the impedance is taken when the circuit consists of an AC component or AC signal. If AC signal is applied, then the measured resistance quantity is impedance. Okay, this is the basic difference between resistance and impedance. Therefore, most of the time, the resistance may also called as impedance and impedance may also called as resistance. So, the input resistance or input impedance is uh, defined as the ratio of input voltage to the input current. Here, the input voltage is V1, input current is I1, Zi is equal to V1 by I1. Next term, output impedance ZO. It is defined as the ratio of output voltage V2 to the output current I2 as Vs is 0. Okay, input signal when input signal is 0, that is open circuit. What is the value of voltage, output voltage, and what is the value of output current? The ratio of output voltage to the output current is nothing but output impedance. Okay, now we have defined the four basic characteristic definitions of a given amplifier, that is common emitter amplifier. Those are voltage gain, current gain, input impedance, and output impedance. Voltage gain is defined as the ratio of output voltage to the input voltage. Next, current gain. It is defined as the ratio of output current to the input current. Okay. Next, input impedance, which is measured across the input terminals. Therefore, the ratio of input voltage to the input current is nothing but input resistance or input impedance. Output impedance. Output impedance is calculated as or defined as the ratio of output voltage to the output current. Okay, these are the four different characteristics for a given amplifier circuit. Next, coming to the frequency response and bandwidth of an amplifier circuit. Frequency response. Because of the reactive components present in the practical transistor amplifier, the voltage gain varies with signal frequency. Okay, reactive components means like uh, capacitor and inductor. Okay, in some of the amplifiers maybe consists of collect capacitors and inductors. Due to these reactive components, the transistor amplifier voltage gain may varies with the signal frequency. The frequency response of an amplifier is nothing but the curve drawn between voltage gain and signal frequency. Okay, the frequency response of an amplifier is nothing but the curve drawn between gain and frequency, input signal frequency. The frequency response of a typical amplifier is shown in the next slide. The gain of the amplifier increases with frequency up to a certain frequency F0 is known as resonant frequency. Beyond the resonant frequency, the gain decreases with increase in frequency. Let us see. Okay, this is a frequency response curve. Frequency response curve is defined as the curve which is drawn between gain versus frequency. So, as the frequency it is zero, as the frequency increases, the gain increases up to resonant frequency. The gain is maximum. After this value, gain slowly decreases and falls down. Okay, this kind of frequency response will be appear in common emitter amplifier. Here F0 is resonant frequency, F1 is the lower cutoff frequency, F2 is the higher cutoff frequency. Okay, so the difference between these two frequencies F2 and F1, F2 minus F1 gives the bandwidth. Okay, if the gain at resonant frequency is maximum, generally the gain at the resonant frequency is maximum. That value is taken as AM. That value is taken as AM. AM is the gain, maximum gain at resonant frequency. Next, whatever the values F1, F2 are taken at 0.707 AM. Okay, 0.707 AM. This is called 70 percentage of the maximum gain. Okay, if we calculate it in terms of percentage, this gives 70 percentage of this AM is 0.707 AM. If this is 1, this becomes 70 percentage. Okay, like this. So where 0.707 maximum gain is taken as F1, F2. Generally, F1 is called lower cutoff frequency, F2 is called higher cutoff frequency. So higher cutoff frequency minus lower cutoff frequency gives the bandwidth. What is frequency response? Which is the curve drawn between gain versus frequency. The curve drawn between gain versus frequency is nothing but frequency response curve. If the gain value is maximum at a resonant frequency, then 70 percentage of maximum gain values are lower cutoff frequency and higher cutoff frequency. Okay, so 70 percentage of that value gives a bandwidth. This is simple. Bandwidth, it is the range of frequencies over which the gain is equal to or greater than 0.707 times. It is a range of frequencies over which the gain is equal to or greater than 0.707 times the maximum gain. The 70 percentage or above 70 percentage of the maximum gain gives the bandwidth. Referring to the figure, that is previous figure, for any frequency lying between F1 and F2, the voltage gain is equal to or greater than 7.707 times the maximum gain, 70.7 percentage of maximum gain. Just now I have shown. Hence, the range of frequency from F1 to F2 is known as bandwidth. The bandwidth is now defined as F2 minus F1. The frequency F1 is called lower cutoff frequency and F2 is called upper cutoff frequency. Therefore, the bandwidth is called the difference between upper cutoff frequency minus lower cutoff frequency. The frequencies F1 and F2 are also known as cutoff or half power or 3 dB frequencies. Okay, this is very important. The 3 dB frequency is nothing but the cutoff frequencies F1, F2 are higher cutoff frequency, upper cutoff frequency, lower cutoff frequency. Or the 3 dB frequency is nothing but bandwidth. Next term is gain bandwidth product. There is a figure of merit applied to amplifiers called gain bandwidth product GBP that is commonly used in initiative the design process of an amplifier. It provides important information about the relationship between the gain of the amplifier and expected appearing frequency range. It is a useful means for comparing amplifiers. The GBW, the gain bandwidth, is defined to be the product of magnitude of midband gain and the bandwidth of the amplifier. The gain bandwidth product of an amplifier is constant. Thus, the gain and bandwidth are inversely proportional. That is, when we increase the gain, the bandwidth will be decreases. As a result, we can express the gain bandwidth product as GBW or GBP is equal to AV at mid frequency, voltage gain at mid frequencies into bandwidth. AV mid frequencies into bandwidth is equal to F2 minus F1. Generally, F2 value is very much greater than F1, therefore we can eliminate F1. Now, the gain bandwidth product becomes AV at mid frequencies multiplied with F2. Now, explain the concept of gain bandwidth product from the previous discussion. In high frequency transistors, there is an upper cutoff, upper limit for the frequency of operation due to capacitances between different elements, inter-element capacitances of transistor. Generally, the base emitter is one junction and base collector is another junction. So, due to which these two types of semiconductors, that is base semiconductor material and collector and emitter terminals. These terminals made When forward bias or reverse bias is applied, these three is acts like a parallel plates in a capacitor. Due to this, some amount of capacitance exists. Okay, when the junction may be forward bias or reverse bias. These are called inter-element capacitances. Okay, inter-element capacitances. Due to this, the capacitances between different elements of the transistor, the gain bandwidth product may be changes. The transit time charge carriers from emitter to collector across the base. Transit time means how much time it will take to travel from emitter to collector through the base. That is nothing but transit time. The limitations of frequency is expressed in terms of alpha cutoff frequency, next beta cutoff frequency. First, alpha cutoff frequency. It is that high frequency at which the alpha of a common base connected transistor becomes 1 by square root of 2, 1 by root 2 is equal to 0.707 of its lower frequency value, usually 1 kilohertz. Thus, the value of transistor alpha is found to decrease at high frequencies. For example, if value of alpha at 1 kHz is 0.95, then its value at f alpha cutoff frequency would be equal to 0.707 into 0.95 becomes 0.672. Next, beta cutoff frequency. It is the high frequency at which the beta of the common emitter, common CE, connected transistor falls to 1 by square root, that is 0.707 of its low frequency, that is 1 kHz value. It is also defined as the frequency at which CE short circuit current gain drops 1 by 2 of its low frequency value. Beta cutoff frequency of given transistor is always less than the alpha cutoff frequency. Okay, this is the beta cutoff frequency and alpha cutoff frequency values. Okay, this is alpha cutoff frequency, this is beta cutoff frequency. This is cutoff frequency. Okay, gain bandwidth product 1.1 up to maybe here. This is 1 where the value is 1, that is called resonant frequency. Okay, this is drawn between AI current gain versus frequency input signal frequency. Now the gain bandwidth product is Ft is defined as the frequency at which the short circuit CE current gain has a magnitude of unity. The Ft lies between F beta and F alpha. Ft is the product of low frequency gain HFE and CE bandwidth FB. Okay, this is very important. Ft is equal to HFE into FB, where HFE is the low frequency gain or FB is bandwidth of common emitter amplifier. So Ft is equal to gain bandwidth product Ft is equal to HFE into F beta. Ft is also the product of the low frequency gain HFE and the CB bandwidth. So now Ft is equal to HFB into F alpha. The value of Ft ranges from 1 MHz for audio transistors and up to 1 GHz for high frequency transistors. So the following figure, that is in the previous slide, indicates how short circuit current gains for CE and CB connections vary with time. Okay, let us stop here. In this video lesson, let us conclude. We have discussed about the basic transistor amplifier working principle in CE mode. Next, the basic characteristics of amplifier, those are defined, which are AV voltage gain, AI current gain, ZI input impedance, ZO output impedance. Next, we have also discussed about frequency response curve for the common input amplifier from this bandwidth. Okay. Next, gain bandwidth product. Okay, these are discussed for the common input amplifier only, because the common input amplifier is having good characteristics than other two, common base and common collector. Okay, let us stop here. Thank you for listening my video lesson. If you have any queries, mail me at naar37@gmail.com. nar37@gmail.com. naar3737@gmail.com. Thank you.